Welcome along to Tweet Street Scotland Occupied, home of the satirical Saltire. I'm Cinnamon Bridges, aka Peter. With me this evening, I've got my co-host back, we've got my wingman back, JB. All right, JB, how you going, buddy?
Not bad, Peter. Good to see you again, pal.
Aye, it's good to see you as well, mate. I hope things are well at home. A few things to discuss. The one that we're doing tonight, we've got our guest this evening is Alistair Davis, who suffers with autism, Asperger's, and ADHD. And he'll tell us a bit more about that in a wee minute. So first of all, say hi, Alistair. How you doing, pal?
I'm all right. How are you getting on?
Aye, all right. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Now, there's a wee bit of interest here. A wee bit of a story goes along with this. I was at the Alistair conference last weekend. I was at the launch of the wee Alistair book on the Friday, and then I went to the Alistair conference on the Saturday. And I was sitting listening to speeches, etc. But I had to go to the loo, and I nipped out to go to the loo at one point, and as it happened a couple of times, I'd been grabbed by folk that were either going to the loo at the same time or they were coming the way out of the loo and they were just chatting, just general chat. So when I was going back into the hall after going, and I had got caught up, as I say, with somebody, I just seen Alistair running through the aisles, like kind of a slapping horns with folk, but I never caught what he had to say. So first of all, Alistair, tell us, before I play the clip of you doing your speech, what was it that was actually happening at the time before you went up to do your speech? What was going on?
It was motion number 10 about autism, the Mental Health Act, and there was two people. I don't ask me who. I can't remember who it was, but they went up to remit it. And when I heard that, it's like I'm thinking, I've got autism. This definitely shouldn't have been the Mental Health Act. So I grabbed one of the guys at the back that was carrying the kids, and I just filled it out and then get up.
And then, so what we'll do is we'll play the clip of Alistair's speech, and then we'll just discuss what was said, and we'll move on.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, conference. I've actually got autism. First time at a conference, first time speaking.
Well done.
So I just thought I'd actually come up and share my experience of these actual medications because I was on them. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 10 and Asperger's when I was 19, and I was put on a medication called Ritalin. Now, one day I went in to the surgery where she was seeing me. Turns out I had high blood pressure caused by Ritalin. 2 years getting treated for high blood pressure as a young teenager. They've then tried to put me on other meds, like they've given me risperidone, amitriptyline. These medications are horrible. I couldn't sleep. I was left with severe stomach problems. I actually ended up with stomach cancer at one point, they thought. Thankfully, it reversed. But I do not believe that autism should be in the Mental Health Act. What I've actually noticed is a solution could be, you've got a Mental Health Act. What you might want to do is create another kind of form of social care act. Because what I've noticed is, I get myself to social work, and it turned out I was going to learn disability team. There are only 3 councils that I'm aware of in Scotland have specialist autism teams. So maybe that's what we need. The learning disability social worker tried her best with me, but she was limited to what she could do. She was not trained in autism. And this is the problem. We do not have enough people in social care trained with autism. So maybe that's what we need to sort out. I wasn't actually meant to be speaking. It's just when I heard the autism mentioned, I'll have to come up here.
Good for you.
So I'm not going to tell you. So I'm not going to say whether to approve the motion or remit it. But definitely, autism should have been the Mental Health Act. It is not a mental health condition. We view it as a way of life, and that's how it is.
Well done, Alistair.
Right, John, what was your thoughts on Alistair and his speech at conference?
Well, full credit to Alistair for his approach there. It was straight in there, straight to the point, and he said his words with confidence. So he really hit the mark for, if you're saying somebody that's not used to making speeches, that's top notch. He really did very, very well. And obviously you heard it was very well accepted as well. So I think his point got hit home there really well.
Aye, that definitely did. He was well received. As I say, when I seen him. He was running through the alleyway, the crowd, and everybody was putting their horns out to game 5, what have you. So I thought,
Excellent.
it was good. It was good when I listened back to it and seen what the emotion was that you were speaking in respect to. I seen Alistair coming out. It was obviously he was getting high-fived and what have you. I watched the speech back. I went and had a look at it. Watched it back, and Alistair got in touch with us and says, "I hear you're looking for people to come onto your podcast."
Yep.
And I thought, well, aye. And I knew it was Autism Awareness Day on the 2nd of April. And I thought I would ask Alistair while he was on. Is he going to be doing anything, on the 2nd of April for you to raise awareness, or?
I've nothing specifically planned. I had actually, I'll be honest with you, because like, I've been moving house and all that, I'd completely lost track of when it actually was. But now you mention it, I might try and come up with something like overnight to do tomorrow, even if it's maybe just walking about, make up a poster, walk about or something.
Aye, well, we'll get this edited and get it out tomorrow so that it raises a wee bit of awareness. What kind of things, Alistair, is there that you notice that are missing that could be better?
I think the big thing is, as I mentioned in the speech, is the social care.
Right.
I think most councils deal with their autistic service users by learning disability. Now, don't get me wrong, these learning disability social workers do their absolute best, but often they lack the specific and unique training needed to actually deal with autistic service users. So,
do you think there should be more people that have got lived experience at that level to be able to identify these things and help out a wee bit more?
I think that would be an ideal scenario, but I think better training and more training opportunities for potential social care staff at university and that would probably help.
So if you were First Minister, what sort of things would you implement straight away to improve the lives of people with autism?
I would definitely expand the training. I would make it compulsory that is where possible, if you're getting a provider, it's got to be one that's accredited. For example, Scottish Autism. Example, I had quarriers when I was younger. When I was living with my mum, quarriers would come in and help me with housework and that, learn their skills. But the problem is the quarrier support staff weren't trained in autism.
Right.
Well, it just ended, and especially with me having the ADHD on top, it just ended up in a big argument.
Ah, right, I see.
They didn't have a clue how to approach me.
And have they got better understanding it now? Is there...
That I couldn't possibly comment on because I've been without support services for the last 3 years or so.
Right. And how do you find that without the support services?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat the question?
Aye. How do you find it without the support services?
It's a challenge, but as I said with the ADHD medication, I've had to learn to go on my own throughout my life. I've managed ADHD for 15 years now without medication completely. So you learn these little tricks as you go along that help.
Right.
The big one for me is obviously exercise. I've also got a condition called restless leg syndrome, so that goes hand in hand with helping. I run on the bus or the train. Sometimes I'll go a jog, a walk, go run the shops. Something.
Keep them active anyway.
That's the big one.
It's good for you to keep active, mate. John, what's your thoughts on the care services? Do you anything to say about the care services in Scotland? And
well, it's obviously been hit for 6 with COVID, and I'd like to ask you, Alistair, what did he find particularly difficult with someone of his condition? How did he find COVID? How did that affect you? And how did it make things more difficult, or what did it change for you?
Well, with me being on universal credit, it wasn't a financial implication. But the surprising thing was, there was that thing in law where there was like the autism exemption, where you could go out to maintain your mental health. So see, when we're walking about, it's like that's like an autistic paradise. There is no one around. It's just you, nature, the buildings around you, and the sound of maybe the birds or the wind blowing in the breeze. It was actually quite nice.
Well, surprising, eh? Mm-hmm.
Aye.
And how you found out that the COVID's receding, that's now going the opposite way. You managed to cope with that now then? Having found people are starting to get back out and about, people, towns getting busier and people are going about their lives. Does that make you think, does that make you anxious, or does it feel more of a challenge, or just easing having to adjust it?
I did it first, and obviously with autism, any kind of adjustment is a big challenge. But I've like got in my brain cells before what life was like before then. So having it stored, it's given me the skills I need to obviously adapt back to a more normalised world.
Uh-huh.
It's like the retention.
That's
And
good.
It just triggers my brain. Oh, in this situation, this is what you should do. It's all stored.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to
Did
hear.
you find the change of the seasons makes any difference? Is winter a harder time for you, or summer a better time, or does that make any difference to you?
No, winter is worse because of the dark nights.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I don't know what it is, but there's something about when the sun goes down, especially in the winter, start feeling quite low and that, quite depressed.
Yeah, I think that's common for a lot of people who also find the winter months very difficult. Cold climate, dark, rainy nights, it can be very depressing and difficult for a lot of people. And that's something that could be looked at as well if we had any sort of government that gave a damn about us, like, you know, but yeah.
This is true. This is true. Well, let's talk about, let's try and cheer it up a wee bit away from these dark, dreary nights, because it's obviously spring. Spring is springing. Spring is springing upon us. The clocks went forward. Now, Alistair's request for what are you looking for people to come on? He said that somebody told him about us, but he can't remember who it was. Now, I don't know who it was myself personally, but I've got a couple of videos that when we were at the Alaba conference on Saturday there, we got a couple of mentions, JB, so we did. The old tweet streets getting mentioned and name getting thrown about, so we're getting a wee bit of recognition here. So I'm going to share this wee one and play this. Get your thoughts. This is Eva Comrie.
Who does she look like there, by the way?
Eva Comrie.
Who does she look like in that photo?
I don't know. I just.
Nicola Sturgeon. Do you know what like Nicola Sturgeon?
Oh, away you go. No,
Actually, does
like
look something like Nicola Sturgeon with long hair there.
Oh, no, I'm leaving that in, but she'll be offended.
Like she'll be back on. Have you seen in that photo with the glasses now? She looks like, oh, well, fair enough.
I'll see if I can find a comparison, JB, and put it up. Right, anyway, this is what Eva had to say.
Something that I know that Lynn Sheridan holds very dear to her heart, and it's the second line or the second paragraph of the motion where we say confidence reaffirms the promotion of social welfare as a public duty. And the reason why that's there, and your free legal advice that you're about to get, is this. In 1968, there was passed a hugely significant piece of legislation in Scotland, and it's called the Social Work Scotland Act 1968. It's still in force, and the preamble reads, "This is an act to make further provision for promoting social welfare in Scotland." That was in 1968. I was 5 years old. I'm 59. We're not promoting social welfare in Scotland now the way we should be. However, the preamble goes on to say, to consolidate certain enactments regarding the care and the protection of children, to amend the law relating to the supervision and the care of persons put on probation or released from prison, to restrict the prosecution of children for offences, to establish children's panels to provide children's hearings, and for purposes connected with the aforesaid matters. Now, Conference, if you regard the purposes and the demands in this motion, what you will see is that every single one of these 5 aspects touches on and has as its heart a responsibility or a duty of a local authority. So when some of you become elected as councillors and you find yourselves perhaps in a minority of one in a chamber with a motion supported by this party and by the strength of the people within this party, and you have opponents who tell you, as they told Alex Salmond and others many years ago, and I see Kenny McCaskill there nodding his head, oh, you can't do that. Aye, we are. Because in paragraph number 1, you'll see what we suggest is the promotion of the community supermarket. I urge you all to take a huge leaf out of the book of Pauline Gilgallen. She spoke at our Equalities podcast, which Tweet Street did. It's online. Watch it, listen and learn about the efforts that lady did, which could be replicated nationwide and relieve in a one-stop shop the poverty and the want of so many of our people.
Right, so we'll stop back there, right? So that was Eva Comrie saying about Tweet Street and our qualities, and Pauline Gilgallen, who she's managed to set up the first community shop, but supermarket type thing. God, it's 3 Hills. So we've got her on next week, JB.
Excellent. Ask some questions.
We've got to talk to her a wee bit more about how it's going, when it's going to be running full time. What's to be expected, and also to try and find out if other people could do it, how do they go about doing it for their own communities, you know what I mean? Because as Alistair says, like, sometimes folk need to have that wee bit extra support, and the folk in the communities will know them better than strangers in meeting rooms and what have you. So if there was something that everybody could work towards to try and make it a wee bit easier for everybody else, because it's going to be tough with these energy cost increases, John. What's your thoughts on the energy price increases, Alistair? I'll come to you in a wee second, John. We'll get Alistair first on this.
I just think it's absolutely scandalous. I think it was alluded to the other day, Scotland has got the potential to make itself self-sufficient with energy 5 times over, but by a 500% surplus. But as long as we're chained to the shackles of Westminster, who unfortunately do set energy policy, then we're not. Then it's just going to keep going south. And the worst of it is, I believe, if it's exported, it actually goes out as classed as an English export.
It's not fair.
So we're losing all this money. It's already happened with the oil. We're 40, 50 years down in oil money.
Yep. It's new clearances for me, if you like to look at it in an extreme perspective. It's how to clear out the Scots that can't afford it. No. You know, folk with more money that'll buy the land. It's ridiculous. What about your thoughts on it, John?
Yeah, it's shocking. Like, and it's recently the Tories were tweeting that, or the British government was tweeting that what big plans they've got for all the renewable power that Scotland has, and how they're planning to suck it down to England, basically set up all these stations in Scotland for tidal power and everything else, and it's going to generate enough electricity to support millions of homes down in England. So it just shows you again that the renewables that we have and the advantages we have, they intend to monopolise them and use them for Little England's benefit, and Scotland will get no benefit from it at all. Like there's electricity generated in Scotland. Scotland doesn't get in for that. In fact, we are now paying the highest charges in the whole of the UK. In London, their standing charges are up 38%. We went up 100%. And yet, as Alistair says, we're already producing more energy. We need 3. We can produce 5 times more, a lot more, dozen times more, and export that. But we will not receive any extra money for that whatsoever. They're just planning to use Scotland, suck all the energy down to England, and we get nothing for doing it. We stay in the wee pox of the Union under the Union Jack boot. If that's all we've got to look for, then shaming you for supporting them that supports that. I see how you can justify it, but nothing surprises me anymore, Peter, to be honest with you, pal. I've been very cynical tonight.
It's the way it is, buddy. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any glimmer of light anywhere, and you're not getting any support, and it's
yeah, I think SNP mentioned it, Parliament, even Blackford mentioned about in Parliament and that, like, but 54% energy costs went up practically overnight. Now that could be death to some people over there.
That's going to kill folk.
With people, I mean, there's even seen stories on there, kids fainting at food banks, waiting in food. Fainting with bloody hunger, mothers eating scraps after plates after the kids have ate, and this is your Great Britain, you like to call it, Great Britain, and they're letting that happen. And now you get Richie Sunak, and we're glad to hear. I heard in the media there he's sorted off to Florida or somewhere for the weekend to one of his properties over there. So now there's all the plebs are back who are thinking, what do I do? I mean, right, we're into summer, it's bloody freezing here, like. And I mean, shops are doing the shop in the day. I think, Jesus Christ, look at the price of that.
I know.
Every time you go up, there's 10 pence, 20 pence, double the price. You think, what the?
It's a different world, isn't it? It's a different world.
And they'll keep getting away with it, Peter, because the British or Scottish and that, or even believe Scottish as well, they're so apathetic at accepting these things. You know, they must be sitting laughing their heads off, saying, what can we not get away with? All these people have died because of COVID. Now we're putting them into abject poverty. 500,000 more kids into direct poverty, and still a couple of bammers on YouTube moaning about it. They wouldn't get away with that. Remember, the bills in France have only up to 4%, by the way, because the state electricity, the power sale is still owned by the government, basically. It's a state entity. They've only got 4%. And that's EDF Energy. So if you're an EDF Energy customer, you're now subsidising the French.
Exactly.
As much as you hate the French, all these English, you hate the French so much. All these people down there, you're now subsidising the French consumer. Bravo. Well, I hope that chokes you. It really is pathetic, and how apathetic they can get away with it. They must be laughing their socks off here.
It's a scandal.
A scandal and a fraud. The mafia couldn't do any better. The mafia would be embarrassed. They really would.
That's all they are. I mean, I'm fed up trying to find ways to talk about them without going swearing and everything else. You know what I mean? But they're just crooks. They're just crooks. The difference. I mind growing up getting told the difference between the crooks and the gangsters run about me and politicians was they'd honour. There was honour among the thieves and the gangsters run about me. Politicians are getting in, right? That was how what I was told. And you're seeing that perfectly well with Partygate, with everything, and he signposted everything that he was going to do, Bojo. The fact that we're not out of this union is more an embarrassment to the Scottish government than what it is to Westminster.
Yeah, Peter, I've said this to you from day one. I find them utterly timid. And there's a lot of good people in SNP, there's a lot of good people in Alba, right? It's fact that the SNP, who are the predominant party for Scotland, whether you like it or no, they've been utterly timid at challenging back at the lies and the abuse and the propaganda that we get hit with day in, day out. Every TV channel, every newspaper, utterly biased pile of crap, and they seem timid at hitting back. They don't want to strike back with any venom or any direction what they do. They just let them walk all over them, and it is embarrassing and it's sickening, and it doesn't do Scotland's cause any good.
No, it doesn't. Well, here you go. Here's a talking point then, Alistair. We'll come to you with this first, and then we'll get John's thoughts on it. I wonder what John's thoughts will be. Right, Alistair, did you see the picture of the First Minister of Scotland and her husband at the remembrance of Philip, the guy, Edinburgh guy?
Aye, I did actually.
What was your thoughts on that, mate?
Well, my first thoughts are if you had to go to keep face, you had to go to keep face. However, I do think she was hypocritical, that she's pushing masks on the people of Scotland. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not going to state my opinion for another 2 or 3 weeks. But then she's pictured sitting maskless at an event in London. And yes, I know England don't require masks, but as the leader of the country, she should practice what she preaches. But then again, Nicola Sturgeon's no stranger to making it one rule for her and one rule for everybody else.
Fair dues, mate. Fair dues. John, what's your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, well, similar to your point, like, but as she would probably say, I was doing what they do again. While in Rome, do what the Romans do, like, you know what I mean? So she might have felt, I will put a mask on, but interesting that she took hubby along. What was his position? That was I was interested to see. Was he just took for a wee jolly, like, Ken? But what he used to do with, I don't bloody know.
It was him that had the +1 that took her.
Well, maybe that's what it was like, eh? But there's a totally known event, like, you know, and of course, it's another wee surreptitious way of getting Andrew back into the acceptable spotlight. He was chosen by the Queen to escort her in and out. So that's basically her giving the middle finger. Andrew's back. He's going to be Lord, no, you're paying for him and all his ways for the rest of their days, whether you like it or no. So there's your monarchy for you. Front and centre. They don't suit themselves, just like the government.
The pedo prince, aye, mate. It was
no shame on them. No shame on them, eh?
It was embarrassing. I thought it was embarrassing for the First Minister to actually be there, and then to say that she was there she speaks in behalf of Scotland. No, she doesn't speak on behalf of me. No, thanks. No, you weren't there. I didn't request that you go there and send your good wishes on behalf of me. No, thank you. You never done anything for Scotland. She's and by the way, neither is she. She's took the country backwards, John.
Well, just remember about the Panama Papers and all that, about the royal wealth being hidden, and it was only exposed in the Panama Papers. That, remember these companies that have disappeared for the high street. Now these ones, they're still online, I believe. They've done all the high street. When it was Crazy George's, whatever name they changed it to after that. I was actually for a job with it. Another story. Honestly. And I'll get told how they work, like, but the credit rates that they were charging people were people with low credit value, like low credit scores, and the interest rates they were piling on, and the money they were making out of these people was astronomical. And guess what? The people who had invested the Queen's money had invested in them abroad doing the very same thing. So it's the right saying. The more you can make the most money from the poorest people, and they capitalise on that. That's the richest people make the most profit from the poorest people, and that's criminal. That is absolutely criminal. Then they shrugged their shoulders when they were found out, and then the government comes out of the line. They're now going to basically conceal what their financial doings are. They're going to protect them from being exposed like that again. So you think you live in a democracy? You're kidding yourself, Owen.
What about the boy? The Tory boy that crashed his motor.
All right.
And then he ran a website called sugardaddies.com or something like that. He crashed his motor, and then he came out as being trans. This trans debate's hitting Westminster, John. It's going
mad. You get a lot of sympathy online, and I don't know the full story about the guy, but he was saying there was some sort of saying he had a hard time, and if that's the case, then he's got sympathy and empathy with. But when you look into and people say, no, you shouldn't bring up this thing about sugar, because it was something about this sugar daddy thing is that basically wanting to encouraging people to use prostitution to pay their bills from somewhere or other.
Well, why?
And yet they're all meant to have empathy and sympathy for his condition, and yet but people don't connect the two.
He's married. He's got a wife and a second on the way, I think it was.
Well, the only people I'm interested in, the poor folk that stand at the food bank, mate. Kids, they're not getting fed. People can't put the heating on at night. I don't give a rat's arse about they're putting anybody down there who's got money in the bank, not giving a damn about food or electricity. Whatever their problems are, get on with it. There's kids, old people, working class, working poor, can't even eat and put the heating on, and he's getting airtime with his sob stories. I'm sorry, whatever your problems are, you've got a better style of life than people. Kids standing there that can't eat food. I'm not interested in it's a media again. Let's find somebody to have empathy and story with and put front and centre. and use that. But let's keep the starving kids and the poor people and the bills and poverty off the front pages. Let's feel sorry for a Tory, whatever his problems are. I'm not interested in his problems.
It's ridiculous. You've got to wonder who his customers were and all. Alistair, did you see that on the news, mate?
I don't think I've specifically seen that, but I'd also like to add in what John was talking about. There's people obviously can't afford to heat their homes or eat, but to be able to do that, they need to be able to get to their jobs. And with the cost of fuel the way it is, it's going to end up at a point people aren't even going to be able to afford to drive to work, to get the money, to do their hours, to get the money that they need for their food and their heating. I know some people would say public transport an option, but to be honest with you, frankly, in some areas of Scotland, the public transport system is nothing short of a disgrace. It's like use public transport, but then there's hardly any beside it. You only around our area, like you only need to take a look at Soln. That used to have an hourly bus service, and now they've got nothing.
I mean, the services in Scotland are falling by the wayside everywhere. When we were doing the poverty panel and safeguarding Scotland's bairns and unjust Scotland, the things that these people are talking about, John, it shows where all the holes are, and then you get folk like Alistair that see it from a different perspective, for his own experience as well. And obviously we're pro-Scotland, pro-independence, that'll never change. I'm proud of my country, but it's one of the things that you're no proud of about your country. It's like, how's it getting to this stage? How's it been allowed to? The resources that we've got and everything that we've got in our favour, why are we not allowed to thrive and be the perspective, I don't know, shining light for countries? Because Scottish people are empathetic and they try and work their best, you know. And
Scotland's always been a socialist country, far more so than England.
We get shot on at every turn.
Peter, you've actually made the point as well before, and I'm sure Alistair would agree. We're masters of our own destiny here, and we're letting this happen. We can blame the English and Westminster for so much, and the British Government for so much, but the powers that be up here that are meant to represent us, they're letting it happen, and they're not showing any urgency for getting us out, as we already know. So the people that we vote to represent us down there aren't doing their job, because we're still in this bloody union and we're still not seeing any light of getting anywhere out it. We're still playing their game, and that suits them to play the game, because it's a rigged game that's always rigged against Scotland. Until we stop playing their rigged game and start making our own rules and making our own decisions, they're not going to take any notices. They've got us right where they want us.
Here. Right. Aye, Alistair. There wouldn't be many folk in Scotland disagree with it. That's the thing. I mean, folk are starting to see when it hits them in the pocket, and they go, right, well, hold on, how is this happening? Well, this is because everything's getting pilfered into Westminster. You're getting lied to about what's happening round about you. And
here's another thing then, Peter, and I'll put this, and I'll say this: Scotland and England. There's so many of these poor people now. These bills are through the roof. Their national insurance is up. Food's through the bloody roof for the prices and that. But see, when it comes to voting, see when it comes to getting off your arse and going put the nets in a box, there's so many that could change the whole system if they wanted to. They're simply getting off your arse, excuse the profanity, and go and voting when it's time to do it. I mean, we've got the votes coming up in Scotland in May, and statistically and historically, hardly anybody bothers to bloody vote. Surprise, surprise. But there's still, if the people who can't be asked to vote, and I mean it in England as well, they could change so much as they could in Scotland as well. But so many people are apathetic, but I can't vote, I'd rather do something else. Can't be asked. And then the moan about when things get bad and nothing gets better. But then, and that's all I say to him, they would start moaning about, did you? I'm not asking you who you voted for, but did you vote? If you didn't vote, then what are you moaning about?
What are you moaning about?
You're supporting the status quo if you don't vote. You don't vote against it, then they'll presume you're voting for it. So again, it's on you. Don't vote, don't moan.
Exactly. Right, we've got to do another wee screen share here, right? Because voting's on the 5th of May, as John was saying. Remember, vote all your pro-independence as your first, your highest, all the way down to your last being unionist parties. It's just how it goes, right? No, not that I'm telling you what to do, but that's just pretty much how the thought process goes with myself on voting times. Right, so we'll do another wee screen share here.
No, for the sake of wanting independence, and really that's all it is. Alex Salmond's lifeblood is Scottish independence, and we all know it, and they know it as well, and that's why they try to keep him away. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say much more. All I would say, I don't really get nervous much, but kind of nervous tonight because you know what it is? I look at a lot of people in your delegates and that, and they've all been on tweets straight and all the new media and all the great blogs. These guys deserve a round of applause. I'll tell you what, all you that are doing your stuff, fantastic. It really is fantastic. You know, the main man, Mr. Salmond, you know, I don't know Alex. I've only met him once. I met him at Pollock's shows, the Alba Christmas do. I was lucky enough to get Jimmy in at a table for the Twitterati, all the ones, Denise Finlay and all, he was all sitting. So I was kind of at the edge, but he come over. I got a picture with him. That's the only time I've ever met the man. But I was watching him that night, and Alex Salmond talks to everybody. He talks to the waiters, the staff, on the same level. That man he talks with people. I consider myself a plumber, you know. Talk to me, but he can talk to heads of state. He is a statesman. He's got the craftsmanship. He's got it here, you know. And we need people like that. And I'm delighted I'm standing here and be able to introduce him. Only in Scotland could the number 7 not be considered magic. The number 7 in Scotland's tragic because we've got 7 mandates and we've never moved forward. And that man, Alex Salmond, had 1 mandate, 6 MPs, and he got us a vote on the Constitution. Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah. And I don't think there's another person or anybody in Scotland anywhere would argue the point. If Alex Salmond was still First Minister, we'd be independent just now. He would take every chance he'd have got us here. Well, I'm not going to carry on because I'll tell you what, guys, the time is moving on, and I just want to get the great man in because I know we're going to give him a rousing applause. Mr. Salmond, whenever you want, the floor's yours.
That was good, eh?
Aye, that was Robert Slavin.
Did you see that live, Alistair? Alistair, did you see that bit? Yeah, when you were live at the conference. Excellent stuff, eh?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Just as I come back up the stairs for having a breath of fresh air.
Good lad.
So, what did you think of his speech when he spoke then?
Absolutely amazing. I think his passion for Alex Salmond is like the rest of us. I would go a bit further and say, I said this to a guy on the train on the way back from Mount Florida to Central. I don't think there's just not another Alex Salmond in Scotland. I don't think there's anyone quite like him anywhere in the world. And whether we'd ever see his likes again, I would be very doubtful. Because the Westminster establishment are scared of him. That's why they're trying to knock him down so many times. He strikes fear into the heart of every unionist politician.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows his strength. No matter how many times they try and knock him down, he gets back up again and appears even stronger.
Aye.
I don't know how he does it.
Aye, he's something else, that's for sure. John, what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I've said this about Alex Salmond for years, and he's somebody I've admired for a very, very long time. All his years with the SNP, and now even after all that's happened to him, and he's still there. And it used to beguile me watching him getting interviewed on TV, particularly by these unionist, biased, spiteful, cynical people that pass for journalism in the British media, how they'd constantly goad him, and honestly how he kept his cool. And I watched it dozens of times repeatedly, how he didn't want to just say, who the F are you talking to, and not them, or can I do something, just I'm sick of your shit. Yeah? He kept it cool. It was, as Alistair said, he was a statesman, and he made a good point there as well. I've always thought this, and I agree 100% with Alistair. The English media fear him, the British establishment fear him, because he wasn't just equal to them, he was better than them. He knows the system, and he's smarter than them all, and that's what they hated about him. That's why they had to try and destroy him. That's why they had to try to date the man, and they failed. And it's a mark of the man's character. He's still there, trying to do his bit for Scotland. Whether you're an SNP supporter, whether you're an Alba supporter, it doesn't matter. He's still there trying to do his bit for Scotland. And in my book, that means everything to me.
Aye, he's as I say, he's something else. As I say, that was Robert Slavin name dropping us there. He was introducing him. But I thought his speech, he spoke again brilliant. The things he said about Rishi Sunak again were spot on.
It just shows you what they're I mean, how they're portrayed in the media. Sunak and that, I'm doing this wee bit to help here, and I'm doing this wee bit to help there. He's doing exactly the opposite. He's keeping the money flowing. All these multinational or international companies that have made billions out of it overnight, the money's going to them, and it's the poor, it's kids that are going to bed hungry and call pensioners and everyone else in the working poor. They're getting shafted by these crooks, liars, fraudsters, gangsters. That's what they are, mafioso. And they're laughing their socks off. They've got this wee captive island we're on, and they can rule with basically get away with bloody murder as they're doing.
Aye, that's exactly how I see it. Talking about Alex Salmond and being the guy that he is. So there was the book launch of the wee Alba book last Friday, and I happened to get some tickets and go along. It wasn't a ticket, it was you to just put your name, volunteer your name and what have you, and go along. So I went along, and I get a chance to ask Alex a question. He was absolutely great. He spoke really well. I tell you, I've got you a copy. I've got you a wee Alba book, mate. It's here for you. We'll get that to you. The conference edition one, that special edition, mate, limited edition, right? But this is what I asked Alex, and this is what he said, right? Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. If no, I can tell you once I've played it, all right? So we'll just do another wee screen share here. It's just to see when you're coming back onto Tweet Street to talk about independence and the wee Alba book. Back on Tweet Street, talk about independence and the launch of the Alba book.
That's another yes.
No.
But yeah, you'll probably get the and all the social media outlets, the obvious reason that you get the bar and other outlets. But I'll tell you what, this group, I think, notwithstanding the great program, this group, we can highlight for the last year, see from this term, the next term, this, that, and the next time. I'll phone up Professor Richard Murphy, I'll say, sorry, Richard, you're out. But more serious, that's a great thing about you are speaking. I'm looking forward on training, promulgating this first edition that meets such as this, which all of the contributors incidentally have agreed to be made. So that it feels sort of make I've got the fighting meetings after this plan already. But you know, you multiply that by 10, that's 60 planning already. And you start multiplying that, and you've got a lot of meetings. And remember, the idea is, these premise, that you invite people to the meeting by this she's always recommended because they have got to the country for half an hour ago. The idea is you stick up the doors in the wall with an invitation from the campaign, saying, come along and get rid of this. So you get both the distribution of the book and the meeting. So I think that we're making such a sense. The greatest has been a key thing, but I'll be delighted to come on to the next one.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I don't know if you could hear that, but basically,
Missed some of it, but get the gist of it, Peter.
but basically, what he was saying was, he didn't recognise me without my shirt on, without my.
All right,
shirt
was
on.
it your play zone?
Aye, that was what he said at first, and then he said yes, he would come back on to the podcast with us, mate. So that's another one for in the future.
Good.
We've got Sarah Sawyer's coming on in the next couple of days to talk about the Constitution, the claim of rights. So do your homework on the claim of rights, Johnny, over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'll look at some of the old tweets I done for it way back on when it was brought up in the House of Commons about how it was went through unanimously, unopposed by anybody. Watched it on the TV live. And yet, what does it mean?
I mind when we spoke about it, or you mentioned it on the 29th of March last year on one of the podcasts that we've done. And it stirred a wee interest in me. So I went and done a wee bit of checking on it. And I'm thinking I'm just a nobody, as we said, we're just guys on the chat, John. So I've looked at things and thought, there's something there. I'm not the person.
There's gold in them there hills.
Aye, I'm not the person to say what it is, but there's something that if somebody's got the fucking wherewithal, somebody's got the wherewithal to actually look at it and understand it and say and pinpoint it and say, well, aye, this is it, then it will get my support. So that's what the SSRG have been doing. Sarah Sawyer's is going to be talking about claim of rights. So we'll have her on. Did you see Sarah's speech, Alistair?
I think I did. Was she the one that was the passionate speech was talking about the claim of right and the fact that the Scottish Constitution is still valid?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
It was one of the ones that I was so happy to be there to actually witness that getting said. You know what I mean? And
aye.
I was caught with emotion and everything. So when she was walking out after her speech, I grabbed the hoodie and gave her a cuddle. I'm like, well done. that was brilliant. And then I followed that. I didn't follow her, but I bumped into her down at the cafe, and I says about coming on. We changed the email addresses, etc. So she's coming on over the next couple of days. Then we've got Pauline Gilgallen wanting to talk about Three Hills Community Supermarket. Aye. And where she's got to, and hopefully it might inspire others, give them a couple of ideas, especially the times being the way that they are. And then we've got another Alba candidates panel coming up as well. So it's keeping ticking over here. But we're actually going to be doing a live stream as well, JB.
Are we?
Aye.
We get my hair set and shampooed and all that, and the wee blue rinse and all that.
I don't know just when it's going to be, but that'll be coming up in the next wee while. Doing some live stream where we'll be live streaming just as we're doing the now, but it'll be going out onto YouTube, it'll be going out onto Twitter, and it'll be going out onto Facebook.
Right. So you'll have a chance to edit all the swear words that you
No. So it'll be, and we'll be trying to interact with the people on each of the social platforms. Any questions that we've got that we're talking about, try to reach a wee bit wider. So I look out for that. We'll make announcements, and we'll have all different kind of a folk on, because the way it is, I mean, we're grassroots. There's a new grassroots SOS Scotland, which is Safeguarding Our Schools Scotland, that's just launched on Twitter. So I'm going to be doing something with them as well in the next couple of weeks. So, and we try and get grassroots people on. Alistair, you're a member of the Alba Party. You're just a grassroots Yes supporter, aren't you?
Yep, pretty much.
Aye. So we're here. We're here for everybody. Got to be doing something as well. There's something else in the pipeline that's got to be, again, it's quite sensitive, but got to have to do it. The demand's there for it. So excuse me, we'll be talking about something that's been big in Scottish politics for a number of years. But there'll be more to come on that. So Alistair, what's your thoughts on the experience of Tweet Street tonight then?
It's been absolutely brilliant. Do you mind if I just ask one more quick topic? Since I know earlier that John mentioned about if you're with EDF Energy, you're now subsidising French energy bills. I would just point out we've now gone from subsidising Dutch rail fares to subsidising French energy.
Nice one, son. Nice one.
Aye. And we've not mentioned the ferries once.
No.
I mean, the ferries haven't even had a mention. There's been some scandalous stuff about that in the press, the news over the past couple of days, John. Have you seen the Ian Lawson's blog?
I didn't actually see it, but I've got a gist of what was going on about the ferries and that. I'm not sticking up for Nicola Sturgeon around here, but it's this wee microcosm the Scottish media like to keep us in. We're talking about a couple of poxy wee ferries, right? And yet down the road they've defrauded the entire UK out of billions. If it's not run to trillions, I wouldn't bloody know, and put us in debt for the next 50 years. So anything that happens in this wee microcosm of the Scottish world as it was, they like to keep us in with wee boats and geese things to fight about over there. Down the roads where the big stuff's happening. Right, the ferries is a disaster, and it's no right, and maybe head should roll for that. Good enough, but it's always let's just focus on wee piddly problems in Scotland while they're robbing us blind down the bloody road.
Aye, well, I mean that says something in itself, and all, John. I mean, there's been plenty of time for things to improve under the leadership of Nicola Sturgeon. They've got worse. They've got markedly worse. Food banks are on the rise. Services are failing everywhere. There's fiascos everywhere, and there's a tipping point. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
remember you
movement on independence.
Mind the wee clip you've played afore about the two laddies in Freedom Square.
Aye.
And give us all your austerity. Well, there you go. We're getting it full blast now. You wouldn't think, and they're saying that, Ken, give us all your austerity, give us all your anti-Scottish policies and all your bigoted, spewing crap media, give us it all, pile it on us, and it serves us right. And if we don't wake up to it, then hey, we'll drown in it.
Aye, that's what's happening, mate. That's what's happening.
We'll never go away, we'll always be here, and the feeling will only grow. And see next year when the austerity cuts come in, you know what, I embrace it. Fucking let's go. The Tories, fuck us up. Give us every austerity measure, shut the NHS. Mum will lose her job, she's fucked. She's losing her job, she's screwed. The council's fucked. We're all screwed, we're screwed. And I embrace it. See all the no voters, see all the pain and the hassle you've all caused, embrace it and enjoy it. Because you've caused it, no us. We tried to change, you didn't want it, that's the game. And that's as simple as that. And I embrace it. Give us every austerity measure possible. Taxes to fuck. Give us every horrible measure you can contemplate from Westminster, and I embrace it, every single one of them. Let's rock and roll. Fuck it. Let's go for it.
Hey, Alistair, out of you to say good night, send a message. What have you got to say, buddy?
Well, good night. Well, thanks for having me, guys. First of all,
pleasure.
You're welcome.
It makes a difference for listening to Boardhead Boy all the time. Just make sure, as John says, make sure you get out and vote on the 5th of May. Vote for Alba. I don't care if you vote for anybody else, just vote for Alba.
There you go.
Nice one.
That's your message for Alice.
Evening, Alba. Quick story. Just back from leafleting tonight in my ward. And I hit this tenement block. presses the buzzer to get in. I take the third buzzer before anybody will let me in. And the young guy answers and he says, aye, who is it? I mean, it's leaflet drop for the council elections tonight. He went, oh aye. What party are you with? I went, I'm with the Alba party. Oh aye, okay, in you come. So that's the first time anybody's asked me what party I'm with. So anyway, I walks into the tenement in the block and up the second flight, because he was the second one up, and he's standing at the door waiting on me. He's got a young kid hanging onto his left arm and he's got another toddler crawling at his feet, and he outstretches his hand, his right hand, and he shakes my hand and he says, thanks mate for doing all the mileage that I wish I was doing tonight. Good luck with your campaign. And I'm like, wow. He says, you know what mate, it's for guys like you that we're doing this for. Thanks very much. This is what Alba is. This is what Alba does. Alba stands for Scotland. Vote Alba on May the 5th for radical policies that will make a difference. Thank you.
All right, John, out to you to say good night, buddy.
You know, pleasure speaking to you boys, and MD, there's only a couple of folks sitting having a cup of tea ever get to see this, and it makes all the difference. It makes you have a wee thought or a laugh or a giggle. Us gang idiots just chewing the cud on a Friday night waiting for the Fitbit to start in the eyes.
Aye. Well, here you go.
There's a game on at Capello. Is it Kilmarnock against Capello? Morton or something tonight?
Morton, aye, Morton
Aye.
versus Kilmarnock, aye.
Yeah.
And the World Cup
Then
draw
you can
is,
still game right after it.
the World Cup draw has just been made for Qatar 2022, which I'm not too
Look
happy
at
about. Their human rights, the human rights
Aye,
in
it's shocking.
Qatar are shocking. I wouldn't have held a World Cup there. That's just my own personal
It's all
opinion.
about money, Peter. All know
Money,
that, the fraud. That went on
Fraud, yep.
there.
But the
All
draw
big
is,
money.
right. Scotland would
Hope
be, if we qualify, Scotland would be in Group B with Iran, the United States, and
I need to remember
England.
them for someone else.
And England.
Oh, you're jesting me, man. You're
No,
joking.
that's who the draw is. If Scotland get by, when Scotland get by Ukraine and Wales, they will go into the draw. They'll go into the Group B in Qatar against Iran, the USA, and England. So that's an easy group for us.
Yep. Man, we not play Iran before. We played Iran before.
Mate, we've been beat off everybody before at the World Cup, so it's just how it goes.
I remember Peru. I'm sure Iran was somewhere in there.
I think you could be right. I think Iran walloped us 3-1 maybe. Right, but anyway, so that's the World Cup draw.
Yep. Just a note, by the way, Iran might not be playing in the World Cup. I seen an article the other day. They refused women access to the stadium for the last game. They were warned about it before. And if that happens,
we get a bye then, do we, to the semi-final?
if that happens, I need to pay Mary to get their place. Right. I remember seeing something about that before, Alistair. So they've done it again. Then they stopped women from getting into the stadium.
They would have done it again, and if they're guilty, then apparently the team with the highest coefficient would get in, which would be Italy.
Wow.
Aye, because they
World Cup without Italy, yeah.
I know. They get put. Who was it that beat them?
It's a late goal as well or something. I'm sure I've seen something about that.
Macedonia, wasn't it? Did you say Macedonia there, Alistair?
It was North Macedonia.
North Macedonia. I think you could be right, actually. I think that's who put them out.
Wow.
Aye, so World Cup without Italy. So that's it for Tweet for Tweet Street Scotland Occupied, for Cinnamon Bridges, for JB Whitesnake, for Alistair Davis. And the message that we're sending is, remember to use your vote on the 5th of May. Go out and vote, or do your what do you call that? One where you post that postal vote. That's it. But make sure you vote, and vote pro-independence. Vote for Scotland. I'm saying vote for Alba in your area. They've certainly impressed me of late. Right, so it's good night for everybody.
Good night, guys. Thank you.